Hi everyone. So you're probably wondering, what is Class Pages? Well, the best way I can explain it honestly, and it sounds a little funny, but I always say it's like a website married Google Classroom and they had a baby. It gives you the best of both worlds. It has really, really good organization. It's easy to use. It's easy to create once you get the hang of where things are. And it's actually a little fun, or well, at least fun for me. So, I figured what the best way is to get you guys started on this class is to actually show you what you're going to be creating. So the first one I'm going to show you is my math class page. So I do want to start this with probably the best news ever, I guess, to me, in my opinion, is that after you put in this work, and it's going to be work if you actually want to use this and you want to use it to its best ability. It's going to be a lot of work the first year because you're going to do a lot of uploading and linking and all of that good stuff. But once you have that all done, and if you continue to teach the same thing, you're going to be able to copy it and push it all over to the next year's kiddos. So you will not have to recreate every single year. Almost all of the stuff that you would use year to year based on our curriculum, you'll just be able to paste it right over and you'll have everything done pretty much for you. So to me, that's like the number one bonus with Class Pages. But there's actually a lot more too. So this is my math page. And you can change the themes. That's one of the videos that we'll have. You can change the look of it. You can kind of spruce it up a bit. Right here, I call it my menu bar across here. So you have pages, calendar, messages, activities, and grades. So the pages button is going to bring you to all of your pages, just like a website. With some websites, even like our district website, have several different pages within the main page, right? You click a tab or you click something and it sends you somewhere else. So these are all your pages. These are all mine. As you can see, it has all of our learning from home weeks, and they'll all be listed here. Whichever one you have organized at the very top of your list will always be the very first page that opens when you hit that page button or when you enter Class Pages from here. The calendar is pretty cool. It's actually the first thing I started playing with when I started making my class page. And at first, I was kind of bummed because I was like, oh, I'm going to have to put this in here several times for my reading kids, for my math kids. But then I realized that you can actually link this calendar to a Google Calendar. So all I did, and I'll show this in another video, but all I did is create a calendar that was for students for the whole school year. So I went through and I put in any days that we had off, any half days. For fifth grade specifically, if we had any fifth grade specific things going on. For example, we went to J.A. Biztown, or for the agricultural day at the fairgrounds, things like that, because we're always getting those questions. When's this? When's that? This way, it was at our kids' fingertips, right on their iPads, whenever they needed them. It was there for them. So definitely a nice thing to have, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. This messages, I'm guessing that we don't have the full capability of it. This would have been where you could actually go ahead and message your students right from here, but we don't have that capability. We can just do, they're called, I believe, discussion boxes off the top of my head. I'll go over those later though. So this button really does us no good, to be honest. Then there's activities. So then activities, if you hit the drop down box, this is where you can go to where your assignments will be. If you've made any assessments in PowerSchool, and you can make them almost like Google Forms, you can make your own assessments right in PowerSchool. So you can get to them here. Oh, and discussions. That's the word I was looking for. So you can create discussions. So basically, maybe you're teaching reading and you want to ask your kids why you thought the author, used that metaphor. And the kids can go ahead and type in their responses, and they can actually see the other students' responses, and it kind of creates a pretty cool discussion group on whatever you're looking for. You can also create a pool, which was really nice for distance learning, because I was able to say, okay guys, when do you want to have our daily Zoom lessons? And I put up times, and they all voted on their times, and I picked the one that had the most votes. So definitely all kinds of cool things you can do with that. And then there's grades. So you can kind of look at some of the grades, or look at the grades that have been assigned through class pages. I'll be honest, I really do not use this at all. I'll show you what I use when we get to the assignment part. So that goes across our menu bar. We'll talk about managed class in another video. It's pretty lengthy. So I'm going to go back to pages. And as you can see, when I click on pages, it will bring me up here. It actually brought me to a different week. You're saying, oh, I thought you said it would bring the one that was on top. It usually would, but I actually had this open in another tab right here, so that's why it threw that off. But first thing I want to look at is what I had originally started out doing before COVID happened. So I created a page that was said from Mrs. Dean, and this was actually kind of like my home page to my students. I deleted most of the stuff because the kids were getting really confused. They were kind of going there instead of where they needed to be. So I deleted most of my stuff on here. But basically I had an area right here for announcements. So anything that was important for them to see when they logged in the morning, it was there for them right here. Maybe it was your welcome message, whatever it might be, our schedule for the day. You can post here, and we'll talk about each individual type of thing that you can post later on. Something that was kind of nice is that, so that way the kids didn't always have to go to calendar view. I also added upcoming activities here, so it would actually show any upcoming events on the calendar or assignments that are coming up would all post right here in a list. So it was a quick view here. And another thing is there's always those websites that come up is, how do I go here? How do I go there? So I linked a couple of things here for them, especially for parents too, because parents can see these if they log into their PowerSchool account or if they log in as their child. So you can do web links, things like that, things that they are normally going to need to access. So that would have been my little home page. And then what I started to do is I started to take the chapters and I created a page for each chapter I was working on. So there would always be like a home page for the chapter, which is this page, where I would go ahead and put the standards in that we focus on in that chapter. I also create playlists usually for the chapters that I'm working on. That way, if there's any questions at home, they can always go to these YouTube videos for any help with what we're doing. Luckily, there's a guy on YouTube who actually has done a video for all the Go Math for 5th grade. I'm not sure if he's done them for other grades. So I use his a lot because that way it follows the same exact material that we're using in class. And then I also put a running record of all Chapter 5 assignments. So here's one place to find assignments for the chapter. And then when you actually go to the lessons, so the first lesson would be a lesson 5.1. This is where I put all of the material. So if I had anchor charts, worksheets, videos, links to any helpful things or online manipulatives, anything like that, this is where I would put it. So here I posted the video of that guy that I was talking about, but this one is specifically only to this lesson. Below it, I post the pages from our Go Math book that go along with the lesson, which is typically what I use for homework and materials. So that way, oh, I forgot my packet at school. Not a big deal. Pull this up, write your problems down on paper, and you have everything that you need. Some families would print them if they had the ability to. That's great too. But I always just told my kids, no biggie, just write them on paper and number it, make sure we know what we're doing. And then I always put this section over here. It says lesson 5.1 assignment. That way they know every time, no matter what page, what chapter, what section, whatever it might be, that their assignment is always going to be in that right-hand corner, just to kind of keep it routine for them. I think that it really seemed to help for them. So that's what I was working on and working towards when I started using this last January, and only got a couple chapters in. So I did that for every chapter that I did so far, and then every lesson. So it will be nice next year that I'll be able to hit a button and it will move it all over to the next group, and I will not have to upload these videos or these worksheets or anything. It'll already be done for me. Something that I thought would be helpful for my elementary teacher friends is what I was working on in reading for the units of study. So for the units of study, I did one last year, and we worked on the nonfiction unit. So what I did is right here, I created a nonfiction unit page, the main page, and as you can see this little drop down, these are all extra tabs underneath that page. So what I would do is I made a page for every, I see what it's doing now. Let me click on the nonfiction page so that you can kind of see the nonfiction homepage. Here is where I would have put this particular unit. You had to create bins for the kids based off levels, and they could only pick from that bin of books. So this was for my kids in my class. I would have told them what bin they could pull from. The numbers in parentheses were so that they knew who their reading partners were as well. I just did a cover of the book, totally not necessary, but I was just showing different things that you could put in. So you can definitely put in pictures, you definitely put in videos, you can put in text, you can put in graphs, you can put in Google Docs slides. I mean, it's just kind of endless. You can put so much in. The main anchor chart for the chapter I put in here. It's nice because you can have it nice and colorful. And my favorite part about all of this is they can't come to the carpet and say, I don't have that. I lost my folder. Oh, I kept that at home. All those lovely excuses that we get. Because basically what I did with my kids, I said, everyone bring your iPads. And I knew everything was there and I didn't have to worry about it. Things that they need to annotate, things like that, I would go ahead and print. But hopefully maybe moving forward, we might have some annotation apps available to us that we can use. Here were our progressions. So that was here for them because in our units of study, they always refer back to where they're at on the progression. So anything that they would need for the whole unit as a whole, I would post here. Like over here, I put the reading log that we were using. But then when it came down to the individual lessons is where I would go ahead now and break it into sessions. So here's session 1. And everything that's under session 1 is strictly what you need for session 1. So I really use that part of our book that tells us what you'll need for the lesson to kind of guide me making these. I was making PowerPoint lessons to go along with this. I think they're almost more for me than they were for my students to just try to get a grip of what I was doing and where I was going. It really helped me kind of stay on task and cover everything I needed to. A lot of my students did actually really like them because a lot of my kids would go for music lessons and things like that during reading. So it was nice for them because if they missed a lesson, they could read through these slides and know exactly what our teaching point was, exactly what they needed to do for the day. So it really helped kind of catch those kids up. Then any anchor charts that came up in that session would be posted here, and you can get all of that stuff with on the Heinemann online resources. There, of course, were always mentor texts, so different things like that are here. Some of them I could just download from the resources. Some of them are the actual hard copy mentor texts that we were given with our kits. So I did color scan them in and add them to this. And you can do that on, I'm assuming you guys probably have scanner capabilities at your school that are color scanners. Or if you just have a color scanner at home too, that's an option. And then again, here was the assignment. They knew exactly what they were supposed to do for that session. It may or may not have been a graded assignment, so you can kind of choose that, as you probably already know. But we'll go over assignments later. So this is just an idea of something. So again, this is what's nice, is this whole unit is already planned out for me. Everything's already organized. Everything's already ready for my students. And all I'll have to do is transfer it over to next year's kiddos. So this just gives you an idea of some of the different things that you can do. And I'm not even getting into assignments. Assignments is a whole other thing. It's pretty amazing, the different things that you'll be able to do with it. And I think that you'll like that you can actually grade it right in. Those of us that have been using Google Classroom before, you would have to create an assignment in Google Classroom, grade it in a Google Classroom. Then you'd have to log into PowerSchool, create another assignment because it had to be in PowerSchool now for our grade book, and then transfer all your grades over into PowerSchool. So there was lots of steps. If we just use Class Pages, you'll have to create the assignment once. It assigns through PowerSchool itself, and you just put your grades right in, and they transfer right into your grade book. So it's pretty awesome that way too. Just to kind of show you an example of what I did when we were learning from home. It has a little bit more to it. So here were their assignments again, so they knew, okay, this is exactly what I have to do this week. They're right here for me. And then here I had to do a video of how to attach a Google slide for assignments. Some kiddos were having a hard time with that. And it was nice because I was able to just record it. I put them all to YouTube just so it's easier, but you can just upload it as a video right into PowerSchool. I always had my announcements. I try to do either weekly or daily announcements depending on, and I always kept them at the top. What's nice is you can drag and drop these, so you can just kind of move your little elements wherever you need them. Our team always did a weekly overview, so it'd tell them exactly what they needed to do for the week. I had a checklist so that they knew, okay, Monday for math, I need to do this, this, and this, and this. Because a lot of the time they're like, okay, what do I do? I'm here. So we just started to try to find things and keep them as routine as we possibly could. Then I had a playlist for this lesson, and I embedded it here so they could watch it right here in the page instead of having to go out into YouTube. Right here it shows you, if you hit this button, that I had 5 videos uploaded for them to view if they needed all that extra help. Here were what I called lesson pages, so they're more like my anchor charts that discussed what they needed to do, how to do it. Even some of the times I would use the teacher copies of the Go Math book so that they could actually see how the problems were worked out. And then whatever I assigned for the week was at the bottom here. So not only were they going to be able to find what they needed in the actual assignment, but I also had it here as well in case they couldn't find something or something wasn't working. I try to put things in several different ways so that way it was there for everybody. So just another idea of something that you can do. Again, I promise the really cool part of assignments will come later. It is definitely really useful for us as teachers. So this just gives you a quick overview of what it looks like. I could probably show you real quick if I go to activities and go, actually before I do that, I'll show you right here. So this would have been an assignment. If I click on it, this will show you what I put in. So here's all my directions, here's my attachments. And then if I want to actually view their work, I would just hit this. And you won't really see it because I've already gone through and graded all of these kiddos. But if they had just turned something in here, there would be in a bold black print, it would say like 1 new, 2 new. It would let you know that they have attached something or turned something in. And then you'd go ahead and go through and grade it. I was looking for someone that wasn't a paper so that you could actually see. So if I looked at hers, here it shows this is her work that's attached, and I'd be able to open that up, look through it, put the grade in. Once I put it here, it will save and it will go directly into our grading and we're done. But like I said, we'll get into the specifics of that later. I just wanted to kind of let you see what it would look like in case you were kind of wondering. So I guess that's it. That's our overview, and stay tuned for the rest of the videos.